The Johnsky is a YouTube channel run by and run for people over the age of 13. People under the age of 13 should click off of this video right now, or watch with a parent or guardian. Viewer discretion is advised.
You don't scare me!
Military stricken today, militiamen. My name is King Prime and welcome back to another video here on the YouTube channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at another Star Wars The Vintage Collection figure, that being the Star Wars The Vintage Collection Ahsoka Morgan Elsbeth. Before we take a look at her, let's take a look at what she comes in. Up at the top of there, we have the nice Ahsoka logo done up in that blood red that we're all used to with these Vintage Collection figures. We have a picture of Morgan herself with something that's been photoshopped out of her hand, likely the spear from The Mandalorian Season 2. We have the nameplate done up in that nice teal color that matches the pill backing for the figure itself. We have the counter logo down at the bottom. On the other side, we have the other figures that came in the wave, such as Grand Admiral Thrawn, who I've reviewed, Morgan, obviously, the Grand Inquisitor, our previous review, Ahsoka, who I've reviewed, the HK-87 droid, who I don't plan to review, Tusken Boba, who I don't care to get, Jedi Academy Luke, who again I don't care to get, and Moff Jar Jar, who I've reviewed. Down at the bottom, I have some legal jargon, and that is about it. I say it in every single video, my friends, you only really care about the packaging if you're a carded or box collector, of which I am not. I'm here to open and review toys, and that is just what I'm going to do. Freeze frame. Freeze frame unfreeze, and here is Morgan herself. I would say before we take a look at her, let's take a look at her accessories, but there are none. This figure has no accessories, which is interesting. Not even like the spear from The Mandalorian Season 2 or like the Blade of Talzin from Ahsoka. You know, it's just like regular pre-Night Sister Curse Morgan Elsbeth, which is pretty interesting. So moving on to her herself. This figure looks perfectly fine. It's kind of bright so you can't really see, but up on her face she does have her tattoo on her forehead, as well as a pretty good likeness to hair is done up in that nice double bun that we see there, kind of like that Japanese inspired hair design, which is cool. Truthfully, I'm not sure if, and I will zoom in even further here, there's supposed to be two-tone hair. If the front of her head is supposed to have like that nice wash, and the back is just supposed to be like super gray. I don't pay attention to Morgan's hair that much to like notice, but it might be, and I might just be smoking crack. I'm not sure. But if not, that would be a pretty hilarious blemish. And judging by how just abruptly it like kind of ends and the gray begins, it kind of makes me think that it's a mistake. I'm not quite sure though. I think it would be hilarious if it was. She does have some nice wash detail on her tunic underneath her like robe type thing. She has a cummerbund attached with a sort of little metallic grable detail right there, which is nice. And of course, she does have an awesome skirt piece done in a really cool pattern, and it is also completely soft goods, which is a huge W. That's definitely where this entire figure's budget went. I love when figures have soft good details, and Morgan here has one of the best ones I've seen in a while. It makes me wonder why some other figures that are included in more recent waves don't have them. Krennic! Sorry, something went through it, but you know, we'll get there. She does, of course, have legs as well. Kind of like a leg wrap going all the way up her legs to her thighs and stuff. So that's, you know, kind of what I expected from the aesthetic choices from this character, seeing how she has that sort of wrap detail going all the way down either one of her arms. It's just a different color on her legs. So that's pretty cool. Regarding the articulation, she does, of course, have a dumbbell joint at her head, which is very large. You'd think it's not, but it actually is a dumbbell joint, I promise. It's just not good at doing the even though you can kind of fake it. She does have a 4-inch motion at her arms, even though it is just a little bit hindered by that tunic detail there. It can, of course, go all the way around, but again, hindered by that shoulder piece. She does have a bend at the elbow and a swivel there as well. She has a wrist swivel, and that is it. There is no up and down or in and out at either wrist, which is disappointing to see. She does have a waist So you can get her reps in, but because of the cummerbund being a separate piece, it actually limits the movement of the waist, which is kind of unfortunate. Moving down to her legs, though, she does have those nice ball joints at the hips and mind the angle here. So 4 range of motion there, as well as a upper thigh swivel. As you can see, she does have a knee bend, as well as a toe down and toe up, and an ankle pivot at her feet, which are very small, which you'd think would make this figure hard to stand, but actually it stands pretty well, which is surprising to see in my opinion. But that's enough for the articulation. Let's bring in some other figures to see how Morgan stacks up to them. Freeze frame. Freeze frame on freeze. Here is Morgan Elsbeth next to the golden standard of action figures himself, Dark Times Darth Vader. Here she is next to our previous vintage collection review, the Grand Inquisitor. Here she is next to a Vitruvian Hax skeleton. And here she is next to a Mandalorian of my own design. So you can see that she is, of course, towered over by pretty much every other figure that I've brought in here, except for maybe the skeleton. She's just a hair shorter than Vader towers over her, which is to be expected, truthfully. But that's it for the comparison. Let's move on to my final thoughts so I can tell you exactly what I think about Morgan herself. Freeze frame. Freeze frame on freeze. So overall, Morgan is okay. She is at her core a really good figure. She poses well and she looks absolutely great. But this was a huge missed opportunity. Part of me really thinks that this figure was supposed to be a Mandalorian release because it doesn't have any accessories, even the Beskar spear, which is really interesting, especially regarding that card art, which looks like the spear has been photoshopped out. And since this is an Ahsoka release, this was totally a missed opportunity to include a, alternate possessed head with the Blade of Talzin, which we saw in the last episode of that series. Don't know why we don't have either of those things here today, but it does take away from the figure a little bit. I'm not going to dock points from the figure itself. This is, at its core, like I said, a really good figure. It just feels like it's missing something. I would personally recommend this figure based off of what it is right now. You got the good engineering, the good sculpting, and the good detailing, especially including that soft goods material. But unfortunately, without the accessories, there really isn't a point to this figure, and that is really unfortunate. But if you like Morgan or the Ahsoka or the Mandalorian or you like Star Wars in general, make sure you share this video with your friends, share the Facebook groups, all that good stuff. If you like the content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Keeps helping me pump out this content, keeps helping the channel grow. That's going to be pretty much it for this time, my friends. Thank you all so very much for watching, and as always, peace.